Neither could I dream of taking refuge with her in Orenburg, where at this juncture all the miseries of a siege were being undergone. Marya had no longer a single relation in the world. Therefore I proposed to her that she should go to my parents' country house. She was very much surprised at such a proposal. The displeasure my father had shown on her account frightened her. But I soothed her. I knew my father would deem it a duty and an honor to shelter in his house the daughter of a veteran who had died for his country. "Dear Marya," I said, at last, "I look upon you as my wife. These strange events have irrevocably united us. Nothing in the whole world can part us any more. Marya heard me in dignified silence, without misplaced affectation. She felt as I did, that her destiny was irrevocably linked with mine. Still, she repeated that she would only be my wife with my parents' consent. I had nothing to answer. We fell in each other's arms, and my project became our mutual decision. An hour afterwards the Uriadnik brought me my safe conduct pass, with the scrawl which did duty as Pugachev's signature, and told me the Tsar awaited me in his house. I found him ready to start. How express what I felt in the presence of this man, awful and cruel for all, myself only excepted? And why not tell the whole truth? At this moment I felt a strong sympathy with him. I wished earnestly to draw him from the band of robbers of which he was the chief, and save his head ere it should be too late. The presence of Fabrin and of the crowd around us prevented me from expressing to him all the feelings which filled my heart. We parted friends. Pugachev saw in the crowd Akulina Pamfilovna, and amicably threatened her with his finger, with a meaning wink. Then he seated himself in his kibitka and gave the word to return to Baird. When the horses started, he leaned out of his carriage and shouted to me. "Farewell, your lordship, it may be we shall yet meet again." We did, indeed, see one another once again, but under what circumstances? Pugachev was gone. I long watched the steppe over which his kibitka was rapidly gliding. The crowd dwindled away, Fabrin disappeared. I went back to the Pope's house, where all was being made ready for our departure. Our little luggage had been put in the old vehicle of the commandant. In a moment the horses were harnessed. Marya went to bid a last farewell to the tomb of her parents, buried behind the church. I wished to escort her there, but she begged me to let her go alone, and soon came back, weeping quiet tears. Father Gerasim and his wife came to the door to see us off. We took our seats, 3 abreast, inside the kibitka, and Savlyich again perched in front. Goodbye, Marya Ivanovna, our dear dove, goodbye, Petr Andreevich, our gay goshawk. The Pope's wife cried to us. A lucky journey to you, and may God give you abundant happiness. We started. At the commandant's window I saw Chvabrine standing, with a face of dark hatred. I did not wish to triumph meanly over a humbled enemy, and looked away from him. At last we passed the principal gate, and forever left Fort Belogorsk. Chapter 13 The Arrest. Reunited in so marvelous a manner to the young girl who, that very morning even, had caused me so much unhappy disquiet, I could not believe in my happiness, and I deemed all that had befallen me a dream. Marya looked sometimes thoughtfully upon me and sometimes upon the road, and did not seem either to have recovered her senses. We kept silence, our hearts were too weary with emotion. At the end of 2 hours we had already reached the neighboring fort, which also belonged to Pugachev. We changed horses there. By the alertness with which we were served and the eager zeal of the bearded Cossack whom Pugachev had appointed commandant, I saw that, thanks to the talk of the postilion who had driven us, I was taken for a favorite of the master. When we again set forth it was getting dark. We were approaching a little town where, according to the bearded commandant, there ought to be a strong detachment on the march to join the usurper. The sentry stopped us, and to the shout, "Who goes there?" our postilion replied aloud, "The Tsar's gossip, traveling with his good woman." Immediately a party of Russian hussars surrounded us with awful oaths. "Get out, devil's gossip," a quartermaster with thick mustachios said to me. "We'll give you a bath, you and your good woman." I got out of the kibitka, and asked to be taken before the authorities. Seeing I was an officer, the men ceased swearing, and the quartermaster took me to the major's. Savaliyich followed me, grumbling. That's fun, gossip of the Tsar, out of the frying pan into the fire. Oh, Lord! How will it all end? The kibitka followed at a walk.